Great day, second grade students and families. It's Mr. Sargent here with your weekly newsletter for the week of March 17th through March 21st. And we've got quite a bit to talk about today, including some help with this week's ELA homework at the end of this video. So let's go ahead and start. I want to give a huge shout out to every second grader out there and every family out there that helped us participate in Pi Day. Pi Day was an incredible time last Friday where we got to learn about why and how to use the mathematical symbol pi. We got to create some crafts, we get to do some reading comprehensions, and some of our own very own teachers got to get pied at lunch on Friday. It was a fun celebration of the math, and we just want to thank everybody that helped us participate. Um, so next, it's important to understand that our quarter is ending soon. We got about 2 or 3 weeks until the end of the quarter, so we want to make sure that all of our work is getting turned in each week. So if you have some unfinished or unturned in homework at home, we need to get those in so when we finalize the grades, you can get the credit that you deserve for putting the work in. So if you have some missing homework assignments, definitely make sure you're turning those in. And if you're not sure if you're missing any homework assignments, definitely reach out to Miss Daniels and Miss Lewis for any questions on the assignments that you are indeed missing. Now, if there's any other news and things going on here at GPA, definitely check out Mr. Dunn's weekly Class Dojo message. It's an incredible account of everything that's going on here at GPA, both what has happened and what will happen as we proceed through the year. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with our second grade topics this week. Now, in ELA, you're going to have this reading comprehension that Maria Sabina Marion, the insect expert. All right, now at the end of this video, I am going to read this along with you. So if you want to stick around later and get some help with the reading and possibly help with some of the questions, I would definitely stick around. You're also going to have this writing activity since this week, this Friday, marks the first day of spring. Well, we're going to get to write about a little bit why and what is your favorite season. All right, I definitely love spring. So I cannot wait to read some of the writing that you have all done and your explanation of why your favorite season is your favorite season. All right, in grammar, you're going to be dealing with adjectives, suffixes with y and ly, and subject and predicate this week. All right, super excited. You can actually use some of that grammar in with your writing this week, and I cannot wait to read all of your writing. Another focus that you're going to have is insects. They're called armored tanks of the insect world, friend or foe, that you're going to review for Wednesday too. So we are going to have a test this Thursday, so definitely make sure you're putting that work in, make sure you're doing that work and getting ready for that test that you're going to have on Thursday. Vocabulary, you have a few words you can go over. We can put them right up here so you can write them down. We have the word adapt, armor, beetles, mimicry, entomologist, extinction, foe, pesticides, and pollinators. So definitely, I encourage you to pause this video and write down all of these words and their definitions so that it will help you study and gain more understanding about what you're reading. Now, speaking of tests, last week's math test got postponed until this week. So you know the lessons that you've gone over, whether it's telling time or working with fractions or possibly even working with some of the shapes. You know you're going to have a test this week. So what I would do is I would study. I would get on sites like Splash Learn or see if your old homeworks and see what you did right and what we can still fix to prepare yourself for the upcoming test this week. And I know you're all going to do your best. You're going to take your time and we're going to be proud of you no matter what. All right. Now in science this week, we are going to talk about adaptations, which one of your vocabulary words in ELA is adapt, and that means to change. So this week in science, we are going to talk about structural and behavioral adaptations, how animals change how they look and how they act in order to survive. Now, before I end the video, I want to give a huge shout out to all of my students last week. Last week, we were able to conduct a very high level experiment dealing with separating the DNA from strawberries. And I couldn't be prouder. Whether your experiment worked or it didn't work, I'm still proud of you. You learned the different scientific method steps that are going to be needed in order to have success with this type of amazing. I cannot wait to see where we go further with this. All right, since this is going to be our focus with our science fair projects too. All right, now for the parents out there, our science fair projects will be done in class. We're going to be doing them as a class, not individual science fair projects. We're just going to be doing them as a class. But I do encourage all of you to come on out and check out the science fair. It'll be not this Thursday, but the following Thursday, and it'll be open to everybody until about 5 o'clock on that day. All right. So if you're going to stay with me, we're going to continue to help with this week's reading comprehension. But if you got to go, I understand. I hope all of you have a wonderful weekend, and I cannot wait to see each and every one of you on Monday. Now, for those that have stuck around, well, I'm here to help. So if you look, go ahead and get your reading comprehension out right now, and we can help reading this together right now, okay? It is called Maria Sabia Merian, the Insect Expert. Now, do you know what it means to be an expert? Well, think about something that you know a lot about, that if anyone ever asked you a question about it, you could go ahead and just answer it, because you already know everything there is about it. Well, that's what she is. Maybe an expert on Pokemon or video games or Takis. But Maria Sabia Merian is an expert at insects. All right? So that's what we're going to read about today. But the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go right to the questions so we know what we're looking for, and you will have an easier time later on. So there it is, we go to the questions. Number 1, what kind of scientist is Maria Sabia Merian? So we know she's a scientist. We're looking for a specific type of science that she studies. Number 2, how does the author contrast Merian's opinion of insects with the opinions of most people of her time? I want you to go ahead and underline the word contrast. Contrast is sort of like comparing. See, Maria has a view of insects one way. Other people in her time may look at insects another way. Your job after reading all of this is to compare the two and contrast the two to find if there's similar or if they're different, and locate our answer after. Then number 3 is just read this paragraph. You see it right there. And then the question says, what can you conclude about Merian based on this information? Go ahead and underline the word conclude. Now, in this case, conclude means to figure out. It means what kind of adjectives would you use to describe her? How would you describe her? All right, based on the evidence from that paragraph, what could we say about her and what she's like? And then number 4, it also says in Merian's time, people thought that women should not be allowed to do everything that a man was allowed to do. What evidence from the text supports this idea? Okay, now what you need to do is think about what the question's asking you, and then think about, if you were to go back through the story, which one of these would you have underlined for your proof? And finally, number 5, super easy. What is the main idea of the text? Pretty much, what is this entire text? What's this entire story about? Okay? So we've got our questions. We've underlined our main concepts. Let's go ahead and read it together. So let's put it right back here. There we go. Already I'm seeing some moths and some butterflies. I see a hornet. I see a centipede. Definitely, I see some bugs in that picture. So let's go ahead and read the story. Now, it says underneath the picture that this is an illustration by Maria Sabia Merian in 1705. Illustration would be a drawing. So she actually drew all of this. That's pretty good. Paragraph 1. Some people may not like insects. especially when they find them in their homes or schools. However, the study of insects reveals a lot about the environment we live in. Maria Sabia Marian was one of the first naturalists to study insects. A naturalist is a scientist who studies and observes animals and plants. Now, how many of you have stopped already? Good. I know some of you have stopped in this paragraph because we're looking for what kind of scientist is she? And if you look back in that first paragraph, we know one of the answers already. Marian was born in Germany on April 2nd, 1647. At this time, most people thought insects were born out of the mud. They thought insects were not worth studying. However, Marian was different. At a young age, Marian studied painting. She was fascinated by nature and insects. She began collecting bugs in order to study and paint them. One insect she loved to paint was the caterpillar. She started learning about how caterpillars matured into butterflies. Marian continued to draw insects, especially caterpillars, for many years. Next to her drawings, she wrote detailed descriptions of the insects and plants that she drew. She published multiple books with her findings. And now here's another illustration or drawing by her. It looks pretty awesome. Okay, one of the final paragraphs. In 1699, Marian took her research to a new level. She funded her own expedition to Suriname, a small country in South America. Many people did not think it was appropriate for a woman to journey this far without a man. She did not let that stop her. Over the next 2 years, Marian collected, studied, and drew illustrations of Suriname species. She published another book with more than 60 illustrations of Suriname plants and animals. This book was one of the first books about plants and animals of Suriname. To this day, many of her drawings and descriptions were admired by modern scientists. Her impact on the study of insects is remarkable. So, ladies and gentlemen, great story. Now, how many of you, as we were reading, could think back at some of the answers? Good. My suggestion is this. Now that we've read it, go through your questions again and, well, you can probably guess and figure out what the answers are, but don't forget to go back into the story and find your proof. Ladies and gentlemen, good luck. I would love to check these when you finish. And most of all, have a great weekend, and I will see you real soon.